Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 61st Emerging Growth Conference and day one of our two-day super virtual investor conference. I'm Anna Berry. So just a few notes for those attending. During each company's presentation, you can submit questions through our webcast module, and we will attempt to address as many of these as possible at the end of the presentation. Today, we're running until 3:30 Eastern Time. Now, when we switch to the next company, you'll see a black screen for a moment. Don't go anywhere. That's just us moving over. But if you do experience downtime for more than a minute or two, refresh your browser and everything should work properly again. Our platform does work best on Google Chrome, so if you're watching from an Apple device, you have to hit the play button to start the session. Remember, all of our conferences are uploaded to our Emerging Growth Conference YouTube channel, so subscribe there at youtube.com/Emerging Growth Conference. Let's begin with Longeveron. It trades on the NASDAQ under the symbol LGVN and is a clinical stage biotechnology company developing regenerative medicines to address unmet medical needs. The company's lead investigational product is Lomecel-B, an allogeneic medical signaling cell therapy product isolated from the bone marrow of young, healthy adult donors. Please welcome its CEO and director, Wael Hashad. Welcome, Wael. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you, Anna. And I'm glad to be here joining all of you and sharing the story of Longeveron and the work that we are doing. Before I start my presentation, I would like to just address quickly our safe harbor statement. Certain statements in this presentation that are not historical, in fact, are forward-looking statements made pursuant to the safe harbor provision of the Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995. These statements reflect management's or the other presenters' current expectation and assumptions and involve uncertainties that could cause results to differ materially from those inferred or made in today's presentation. For more detailed information, please see our forward-looking statement in the slides included in this presentation. It's also available on our website. Let me give you quickly an overview about Longeveron. Longeveron is a leader in the development of medicinal signaling cells for therapeutic indications. We have a well-characterized allogeneic MSC, or medicinal signaling cells. It's called Lomecel-B, and our product is being tested in phase 2 trials and multiple indications, starting with Alzheimer's disease, aging-related frailty, and a condition called HLHS. It's an abbreviation for hypoplastic left heart syndrome. It's a congenital heart disease. We have a proven management team and scientific team and manufacturing team. We have a solid balance sheet with cash well into the first quarter of 2024. And we are, one of the unique things about Longeveron is that we have our on-site GMP or good manufacturing practice facility for the production of Lomecel-B. As I mentioned, we are in the second stage of drug development. This definitely came after successful completion of phase 1 trials in these indications. Our hypoplastic left heart syndrome had open-label phase 1 data that the results from this trial have led us to obtain an orphan drug disease designation from the FDA. We also obtained a fast-track designation from the FDA, which allow us faster communication with the agency. And we also have a rare pediatric disease designation, which comes with a priority review vouchers. We are currently in phase 2, and the study that we are conducting is called ELPIS II. We are also conducting our second stage of development, aging-related frailty, in Japan. Japan has one of the most significant aging population, over 37%, and represent a very important and big market. Alzheimer's disease, we finished the enrollment, finished the enrollment in the phase 2, and we're almost completing the study itself. And we expect results from the phase 2A trial, also known as Clear Mind trial, at the early October of this year. Let me tell you a little bit about Lomecel-B. It is, as I said, medicinal signaling cells. We believe that it has multiple modalities of action that include anti-inflammatory cytokine, cell-to-cell interactions, exosome and microRNA release, and mitochondrial transfer. Of course, every one of them brings a lot of benefits for the product. As I mentioned, the drug, that Lomecel-B, is currently in phase 2 in the US and in Japan for these 3 indications. And you can see in the US, we have completed our phase 2 trial for the aging frailty, and we're waiting for the phase 2 in Japan as well. Let me tell you a little bit about these conditions, because these are significant unmet need. The first one is hypoplastic left heart syndrome. As you can see from this diagram, that in a nutshell, babies born with abnormalities in their left ventricle. As you can see, their left ventricle is not fully developed, which doesn't really provide them a chance to live for a very long time. Many of them even used to die at birth. Physicians were able to develop 3 stages of reconstructive surgeries to try to give these babies and children an opportunity to live longer. And even with the advancement in these surgeries, still the overall mortality by adolescence is 50 to 60%. There is about 1,000 babies that are born in the United States. So this is still, despite the fact it is a rare disease, it's still considerable opportunity. We give Lomecel-B during the 2nd stage of surgery, which is known as the Glenn procedure. And here you can see these glowing dots on the heart. This is where we inject our Lomecel-B directly in the heart during the 2nd stage surgery. Our goal is to improve the right ventricular ejection fraction, and even a small improvement, as small as 5% compared to the standard of care, can result in a massive impact for these patients and their life. Currently, after the conclusion of phase 1, which is the open label, we have treated in the 1st stage of development 10 patients. As I said, open label. These patients has been followed up for 3.5 to 5 years. And one of the encouraging data that we have seen is that all the 10 babies until today are still alive, 3.5 to 5 years. This compared to a historical, well-controlled clinical trial that shows approximately about 15 to 20% of these babies end up dying from that 2nd stage surgeries to 5 years after that. So we are encouraged by this one. And we definitely look forward to completing our phase 2 trial and looking at the results from that trial. The second indication that I want to talk about is aging frailty. As I said, aging frailty is an indication that is not yet, there is no product that has been approved in the US or any place around the world for aging frailty. However, as everybody knows that we continue to age, and people are born in this decade will probably live well into their 100s. So the need for these type of medicine that can not just allow people to live longer, but healthier is definitely well warranted. And Longeveron is one of the first companies that really embark on that journey. And as I said, we really believe that this is an important and growing need from a healthcare perspective. As I said, we are conducting our phase 2 in Japan. Japan has 37% of their population is classified as an aging population, and definitely represent a big opportunity there. Japan also represents about 11% of the worldwide market. We're currently conducting our phase 2 in Japan in 2 centers, one in Tokyo and the other one in Nagoya. And we are doing this with the Japanese Center for Geriatric and Gerontology. We have both the Japanese center and us are the co-sponsor for the trial. The third indication is Alzheimer's dementia. And this one is equally important. I think everybody knows that Alzheimer's dementia is a growing concern. There is about 6.5 million people live with Alzheimer's dementia in the US. We have done our phase 1 trial in Alzheimer's dementia, and we really believe that there was some early signals that was encouraging us to move to the second stage. And these were related to reduction in pro-inflammatory or anti-inflammatory biomarkers, improving the immune functioning, promoting neurogenesis, and improving endothelial function. Right now, we are fully enrolled the trial of 48 patients in the phase 2A. This trial is a comparison to placebo with 3 different dosing arms. The trial is fully enrolled, and we expect to release the outcome of this trial at the beginning of or early part of October. I want to remind everyone that the primary endpoint for this one is safety, with secondary endpoints that is measuring multiple endpoints, including both MMSE and ADAS-Cog, but also includes biomarker, MRI measurements, and other exploratory endpoints. Since I joined in March of this year, we have been working on strengthening our leadership team, and we have an outstanding leadership team. Other than myself, Josh Hare is the co-founder and the chief scientific officer. He is a pioneer and world-known leader in the stem cell research. He is also the founding director of the Interdisciplinary Stem Cell Institute at the University of Miami Miller School of Medicine, and a fellow of various esteemed associations, including American Heart Association and the National Academy of Inventors. Lisa Locklear just joined us recently as Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. She brings a wealth of expertise and knowledge in both the pharmaceutical area, but she also was a CFO at GSN, CoreLogic, Engram Micro, and prior to that at the Walt Disney Company and PricewaterhouseCoopers. Dr. Natalia Agfanova, she's also joined us recently as the Chief Medical Officer. She has extensive senior leadership expertise in the biotechnology and pharmaceuticals. She has successfully developed multiple products and have very good interaction with the FDA and other regulatory agency, and has a lot of expertise in the drug development, both in the US and the European markets. Last but not least, Paul Lair, who's our General Counsel and Secretary. He has over 25 years of senior legal executive roles. He is also the former CEO of Heart Genomics, a cardiac biotech firm, and former president and general counsel of Cardiac Rehab Company. He has been one of the early folks that joined Longeveron, and we're glad that Paul also with us. 2023 has been a very busy year for us. At the beginning of the year, we announced the results from our phase 1 ELPIS trial, and it was published in the European Heart Journal. The first patient in our Japan phase 2 aging-related frailty was enrolled. And we also have announced in May the long-term survival data that I just shared with you from the ELPIS 1 trial. And as I mentioned, in early October, we expect to release the phase 2A Alzheimer's disease trial, as I mentioned. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share the highlights of Longeveron and the work we do. For any additional information, please visit our website at longeveron.com or reach out to our CFO, Lisa Locklear, or our investor relation, Mike Moyer at LifeSci Advisors. Thank you very much.
Great job, Wael. All right, we have some questions for you. Let's start. You highlighted some of this, but let's go back about some of your top priorities for the company. What are they?
Definitely all the 3 areas that we're pursuing indications for, Anna, are very important. However, based on my expertise, we have to actually be pragmatic and focus and prioritize things. So my top priority right now is HLHS, hypoplastic left heart syndrome. It is a congenital heart disease. We are in phase 2. Usually drugs who are developed in orphan diseases or rare diseases, the regulatory hurdle is much lower than other diseases, at least from a requirement standpoint, as long as you prove the benefit-risk ratio. Also, the commercialization cost, the development cost, and the speed by which we can get to the market definitely can be much faster. So I definitely would love to see our first product make it to the market. And I really believe that HLHS represent the best opportunity to get to the market first, then other indication. So that's our top priority.
And tell us a little bit about yourself and why did you choose to join the company?
Yes. So Anna, as you probably know, I have been in the biotech pharmaceutical area since I graduated my pharmacy school. So I have over 35 years. I'm very passionate about the work we do. And I really believe that the future therapies that will come in the future will be cell therapies and gene therapies. And I really wanted to be part of that future. And of course, this means that I have to join one of the companies, and I have really done my homework about companies in those space. And Longeveron was one of those who stands out with the quality of the science that they are producing. Josh has been working very hard at Johns Hopkins for 16 years before joining the University of Miami and continuing his research work. He is very well known, most published, and his work is well recognized. So I feel very good. While there is always risk with drug development, and definitely when you are embarking on uncharted territory, but I feel that Longeveron has the best shot to get to the future, and that's why I decided to join them.
So you also said in your presentation that you expect the Alzheimer's study will read out in a few weeks. So what is your plan after that?
Sure. So we are really excited about the Alzheimer opportunity, but having spent a lot of time, as I said, in working in Alzheimer as well in my past career, I would say that moving to the next step, which would be phase 3, will require a significant investment. So I think if we are to see good positive signal coming out of our phase 2, the goal is to move from that moment and explore potential partnership with a biotech or pharmaceutical company and help us move to the phase 3 and potentially the completion of the program.
Now, talk a little bit about why you chose Japan to conduct your phase 2 aging frailty study.
Great. So I mentioned that during my presentation that Japan has one of the largest aging populations around the world. About 37% of their population are considered to be aging population. But also Japan has a regulatory path that allow for a streamlined approval if we prove the safety and the of the product as well as the efficacy. So we can get there faster in Japan than any other market. That's because of the ASRM policy that Japan has established for regenerative medicine as well.
So I have a personal connection to hypoplastic left heart syndrome. A dear friend of mine, his child was born with it, and he spent the first 3 months in ICU, and he's almost 1 year old, and he's still struggling with it. So I want to ask you, why is this your top priority? Besides me knowing it's just devastating. It's truly devastating.
Yes. So Anna, I can tell you that I always have a very soft spot in my heart for children. And definitely when they are born, you want to give them the best chance to lead as normal as possible from a life standpoint. And I really admire the physician and the cardiothoracic surgeons that I talk to them. And many of them are the principal investigators of our trials on the work they have done to develop these 3-stage surgeries that actually improve the chances for these children to live. But as many of them would say this, and by the way, we have an events that will be coming soon with some of these key opinion leaders. So if people are interested in listening to them, stay tuned. But as I said, when you talk to these folks, they will tell you still there is more work that needs to be done. And HLHS, our work here, we really believe that we can help these patients lead a better life by improving the outcome, by improving the functionality of the heart. Our goal that when we inject the Lomecel-B in the cardiac tissues, that the outcome of this leads to improvement in the right ventricular ejection fraction, which is the major measure that we're all looking for to improve. But we're also looking for improvement of survival. That's why we are very encouraged by what we have seen from our phase 1 as well. Of course, those are expectations. We have to conduct our clinical trial to demonstrate that. I'm going to say one more thing here, that across all of our trials, we have seen generally a very favorable safety profile, which also are very encouraging, especially that now we have more than 300 patients in the various clinical trials that we have conducted around the world.
Wonderful. And last question for you, Wael. Talk a little bit about why investors should consider Longeveron as part of their investment strategy.
As I said, Longeveron is a cutting-edge company focusing on cell therapy. We definitely going after a significant unmet need. 2 of the indications that we're going after, or 2 of the diseases, HLHS and aging-related frailty. They don't have any approved therapies today market, so we could be the first in either one of those conditions. Early signs are very encouraging. Safety profile is so far so good. Of course, we need to study more patients and continue to observe that. The company is really having, as I said, very strong board, very strong management team. We really have done a very good job, at least since I joined, in executing against our goals. And so I really believe it is a good opportunity for any investor who want to invest in the biotech area to go to Longeveron and invest in it.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time with us today and your hard work on this important endeavor. And please, we'd love to have you back with some updates in the near future.
Thank you, Anna. Really appreciate it. A pleasure being with you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Wael. Okay, everyone, stay with us. We'll be back with ASP Isotopes in about 10 minutes. We'll see you soon.